They called me a demolition man.
Just so accurate. I don't even know where to start.
Demolition started from that point. Yes, and I won't wait here. I will take this whole thing down to a Gota River. Heaven will not fall. I don't demolish houses. I remove contraventions. Somebody must do those tough jobs. If you comply, will Tokunbo come and remove your property? So you have a choice to make. You behave badly, consequences come at you without fear or favor.
Lagos is smelling.
Lagos is the most prosperous of the states in this country with due respect. Lagos is the commercial nerve center of this country. By statistics, over 3,000 or 5,000 come into stay daily. That's not people that come on the daily to come and trade and go back. Just to come and stay. You come at me on social media, I'll give you fact for fact. I'm not going to be emotional, I'm not going to go personal with you. You come with data, I'll give you data for data. I'm a lawyer and I believe when you do what is right and what is lawful, you can go to sleep. Ask yourself, how do you manage your environment? If you wake up in the morning, you take your waste from your space and you throw same waste into a drainage system, like the man we arrested at Alakpere, who took his waste in a very fanciful Toyota Venza car, went on top of the Alakpere bridge, on the phone smiling and laughing to his friends and was dropping the waste there. People going to church, even on Sundays, taking their waste from their homes and choosing to drop them on the roadside. What happens afterwards? For every action, there is a concomitant reaction. Some areas in Lagos have offensive odor, just like some areas all over the world. Go to Joburg, go to New York, go to London. Why is Agodi always flooded? Agodi Road always flooded? Those money-less, greedy developers are taking steps to go and block their own outlets. Now they have built over it. The water from their homes is overflowing on the road. People are used to bad behavior and they are not used to consequences for bad behavior. So the moment somebody comes and says, I want to put in place this consequence, there will be a culture shock. That shock was what they felt 2023 when I just resumed. They were not used to it. But today, virtually all of them are seeking to get all their papers correct. And people are now asking the right questions before they buy. And that's the way it should be. Our elites are the biggest problems we have. I can say it to any of them. They are the ones that will drive one way. They are the ones that do it with their escort. I'm calling them out with their escort. Most of them believe in gaming the system. They are running helter-skelter now. And we will not approve what is not supposed to be approved. Heavens will not fall.
Hello and welcome to Key to Keys, the KK show. I'm your host, Confidence. Now today we're joined by a man whose name has become increasingly synonymous with action, whose job directly impacts the air we breathe, the streets we walk, and the drainage we often take for granted. Now he's been called so many things: controversial, courageous, and the demolition man. Well, I mean, you can agree with me that he's taking one of the toughest jobs in government, and that is keeping Lagos livable in spite of population explosion, environmental decay, and infrastructural pressure. Now, whether you agree with him or not, you cannot deny the fact that his office has actually stirred a lot of conversation in the nation today. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the KK show, Key to Keys, welcome with me, the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab.
Thank you for having me, KK.
It's good to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So, okay, let's go straight to the elephant in the room. And that is the notion right now, the popular viral content that Lagos is smelling.
It's Lagos smelling, KK. Now, I like putting things in context. Some areas in Lagos have offensive odor. Just like some areas all over the world. Go to Joburg, go to New York, go to London. They have some areas that have some offensive odor. So if you're driving past Olushosu, for instance, where we have that dump site in the middle of Ikeja, sometimes it emits some unpalatable smell.
Yeah.
If you're driving past Igodo Road, going to Lasso, there's Solo Street there to the right. Same thing applies. But these are man-made situations. And if that is the case, I will admit, yes. But are we folding our hands? That is the difference in the narrative. I will tell you no. What are we doing differently? KK, we are moving from a linear waste system. Linear is where you take and dump. Through the years and decades, just pick waste, go dump. Right now we are saying waste is a resource. You can take waste and make it wealth. When you take compost fertilizer out of it, you can even make it power. And these are things that we are driving and pushing forward. Not just by words of mouth or cho, but by action, concrete action. That's why we said the next 18 months, we have to start decommissioning Olusoso and Solos 3 because we are moving away from that linear waste management system. So if you tell me some areas Lagos smell, I'll tell you yes. But ask yourself, how do you manage your environment? If you wake up in the morning, for instance, you take your waste from your space and you throw same waste into a drainage system, what happens next? You go on social media, you start broadcasting with cheap data. Oh, or you take your waste, you put it on the media, or you don't want to patronize the PSP operators. And we have them across the country, across the states, where we have 377 words. Are they challenged? Yes. And that's why we have a whistleblower policy. Or you wake up, you take your waste like the man we arrested at Alakpere, who took his waste in a very fanciful Toyota Venza car, went on top of the Alakpere bridge, on the phone smiling and laughing to his friends, and was dropping the waste there. Or those we arrest across the states, at night, in the evenings, in the mornings, people going to work, people going to church, even on Sundays, taking their waste from their homes and choosing to drop them on the roadside. What happens afterwards? For every action, there is a concomitant reaction. But we are not going to fold our hands. We've said to Loma, don't just be the operator. Also try to intervene in areas where those incidents are prevalent. On this Lekki corridor, government is spending billions of taxpayers' money to concretize the pavements, rigid pavements to Ekpe. Now, while those things were going on, you see them dumping waste in the middle of, but Loma is cutting them away. On my way here, I left home early and I ensured they have to walk the silt some areas here by mobile. There's this water we noticed some days back. A whistleblower sent it. And we said, Efang, come and desilt it. Come and open up the channels. And they are still doing it. I went into Agugi on my own. Why is Agugi always flooded? Agugi Road always flooded. You can answer it. Those Omoniless, those selfish, greedy developers are taking steps to go and block their own outlets. We've awarded the contract for Agugi Road this year because now they have built over it and now the water from their homes is overflowing on the road or onto the roads. But there is a channel behind it. There's a channel linking it to Ebano.
Yeah.
We just constructed that. But it's not enough. It's not enough because if you go after Ebano, about 7 islands are being constructed. I'm the one holding back the approvals. That you can't do it. There's a rule for island construction. There's a VGC to your right. You must have at least 200 meters to each island. And that's what we are enforcing. But people don't see this. People go on social media, they buy cheap data with due respect to them, and they just say, oh, Agugi Road is flooded. It's raining heavily, for God's sake, that period. It will flood because Agugi, Lekki, and part of this area are lowland areas. And then you are bounded to your south by the Atlantic. By this Ikota is the Atlantic. To this other side is the lagoon. And then you have creeks in the middle. Now, once that is happening and it's raining heavily, there's what we call lockup. Lockup means the storm water cannot discharge because the tidal level is up. Let me make it elementary. Climate change is real. And we know as Lagos, being a coastal state, we are exposed to the vagaries of climate change, excessive rainfall, excessive heat, and then the sea level rise. We know. And that's why all year round, we're working on our infrastructure. All year round, we're working on advocacy. All year round, we're not allowing people to take municipal solid waste for granted because those are things that can now aggravate the situation. Lagos is a city below sea level. But are we just folding our hands? I will tell you no.
Okay. So there was a statement you made, and I think that we are sort of enabling people in terms of waste disposal. Now, you mentioned something, people dumping refuse on the median and then Loma picking up.
Drainage
systems. There was a period where we had big bins by the roadsides, because if these places are not made available for people, they have to create alternatives for themselves. And that is why you see them dumping refuse here and there. So if they know that if we dump here, Loma will pick up, they would not stop dumping.
Let me tell you what we found out. Those bins are still there. We're still constructing more. Loma construct them at their yard at Ijora. But people at times just choose to do what is convenient for them. Okay, I was coming down here now to your studio. There's a Loma truck under this bridge, cutting away. That also led to slight traffic. But after you move past that Loma truck, the traffic is free. The bins are virtually everywhere. But when people are set in bad behavior and they believe there are no consequences for bad behavior, that's what you find. And what we have said in Lagos, since I've become Commissioner for Environment, is we attach consequences for bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why the first few months or weeks, there was so much hue and cry. It was a shock to the system that how would somebody be resetting a button? It's like a child that is used to being disruptive at home. He comes home from school, takes a remote controls television for everybody. The day the father says to the child, enough, go do your lesson. I want to watch my news at 7 or 8 p.m. He will throw tantrums.
Yeah.
But you have to assert the authority of law and order, or else it becomes an Obesian state where life becomes nasty, brutish, and short. And we can't afford that to happen to Lagos.
Okay, so let's talk about the viral content, the content that went viral. So people are saying that now we're seeing lots of actions being taken.
KK is not true.
Okay.
KK is not true. There is no day, and I make bold to say it, people are not out. I've been out. I went to Aboru and Alimosho today. I drove incognito, my driver, to Alimosho today, this morning. And why? There was a video sent to me by a resident. And I know we provided them one of the biggest infrastructure in that area of the state. We've done the bridge and everything, but he said, it's streets, Fatai Street and Joy Street, yes, never used to have this high water, but something that happened between the past 24 hours. Our engineers had gone. I've seen the video. The tripod is so working well. So something must have happened somewhere. So they didn't know I was coming. I left him around 6 o'clock. I got there, saw everything. We are fine. Now, on my way here, I told you FAG is working at this mobile junction. And that's what we do all year round. We've cleaned 666,000 kilometers of drainage system all year round in the past 2 years.
Mm.
Why are we doing it? Because if FAG, that's the emergency flood abatement gang, if they are effective, we've solved half of our drainage issues in Lagos State. And that's why we keep them all year round. Rainy season, dry season, they must always be out. That's why we call them emergency flood abatement gang. So when they said, no, it's not true. It's a misconception. It's a total misconception. We're out. La Sepa is out, looking at the environmental noise pollution, effluents. La Swamo is out, looking at people that discharge their waste into public drainage system. Loma is out, cutting away solid municipal waste. Last Park is out, ensuring that we have greens all over the state. LASA is out, regulating our adverts and where we place those billboards. ODM drainage system is out always. EIAs are out on the waterways, seeing and ensuring that people have the requisite environmental impact assessment before they start these reclamations, because there are always consequences. The human in wetland department is always out because people are encroaching on the wetland of the state. And your wetland are supposed to be your sponge, natural sponge, that when it rains, it holds the water for a while before it discharges. And that's why if you drive between this your Lekki corridor down to Ekpe, you turn left, you take through Shala, Molajoye, K2, Itokin, back towards Agbowa. You see people trying to build on wetland, and we are saying, no, you can't. And people start telling me, what are you looking at before this happened? Most of them don't have approvals. I've been in this job for over almost 2 years. Most of them don't have approvals.
I think we're going to touch that soon.
KK, most of them don't have approvals. I have removed houses on drainage plains, and I always challenge them, bring your approvals forward. People have gone to build on drainage paths, not caring about their neighbors, and I've said to them, bring forward your approvals. Go to the back of this place. There's an estate called Pinnock. Pinnock sells as high as what they sell in Ikoyi because it's well constructed. Go to Nikon Town. Well done estates. But is it the same? Or go to VGC. But people have chosen to go for a substandard theory. They are placing profits over everything. I'm not saying you can't do for your profits, but work within the regulations of the states. So let me now wrap it up to say to you that we never dropped the ball. Nobody instigated us to be out. We've always been out. If I listen to people's opinion, because they are all stakeholders, we do what we have to do, but we also tell people can say a lot of gibberish, but subject matter experts knows why some areas have flash floodings. That's the difference. Subject matter experts will also tell you why these areas are like this. Even if you give them the drainage system, the biggest, if it's by the Atlantic or the lagoon and it's raining heavily, that water will not discharge. You have flash flooding. And it's called flash flooding because it's just for some few hours and it will recede.
Okay. Talking about dropping the ball, I mean, I picked that from your statement. I remember that growing up, we had something called Kai.
Yes.
We also had environmental sanitation every Saturday.
Yes.
It seems that culture has gradually gone into oblivion.
I'll tell you what happened. Years back, a senior colleague of mine, a senior advocate, took Lagos State to court with respect to the environmental sanitation monthly. At the Federal High Court, he won the case. It was a technical leg of law. But at the Court of Appeal, Lagos State won. And that was a situation when we resumed and we said we have to start the environmental sanitation. It's now, after so many years, the senior advocate had gone to Supreme Court now, but there's no law asking us not to continue or reintroduce environmental sanitation. What we are trying to work on is the logistics. Okay. And we're doing that for the past few months. And I believe the governor will determine when he should start. But
because I think it's necessary.
He's also made the announcement himself, but we want to choose a date to start. You see, environmental sanitation, just like waste disposal, is a culture.
Yeah.
And that's the culture we want to bring back.
Yes.
Now for Kai is back. Kai is the enforcement leg of the Ministry of Environment. Kai is the one doing all these interventions for us, going to markets with Loma officials, going to market with the sanitary officers, going to market with the Woles. They call them Wole sanitary officers. And they are back. What we just had to do was to rejig the system. Give them more impetus, give them more encouragement, more motivations. And ask ourselves, what is the feedback from the public, Lagosians? Ask ourselves, we must hold very tough and difficult conversations. And say to ourselves, the truth. And that's what the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources is all about.
Okay, so these enforcements now, because I believe if they had started a while ago, we wouldn't have gotten to this level where people can openly defecate without, feeling any sense of guilt, and people just walk past.
Okay, let me give you some figures, and you'll be blown out. We have 1,710 public toilets statewide. 1,710 public toilets statewide. Now, you have what they call the major oil marketers and independent oil marketers. As a standard rule in Lagos, to set up a gas or petrol station, you must have a public toilet. It's a requirement they won't waive for you. So, Let's assume, for instance, we have about 3,000 or 4,000 petrol stations statewide, and they have conveniences like that. I've not said those of eateries. I'm not adding those ones to it. Adding to the ones we have over 7,000. But it's about that culture. That culture of what Yorubas call Talule Mumisi. That's what the Yorubas call it. But because there are no consequences.
Yeah.
However, there is a law in Lagos State signed in 2017, Environmental Management and Protection Law, which prohibits things like this. All I've done is we must enforce our laws.
So yeah, there are laws, but the enforcement has always been the problem.
Now,
enforcing those laws.
And you see, we are doing that. Before now, they believed in the advocacy leg of it. I believe you don't have to dangle the carrot alone. You must also wield the stick. Pardon my language. The black man likes it that way. I'm sorry to say it.
True that.
So we've just attached those consequences as provided by the law, and we are enforcing it without caring whose ox is God.
Okay.
That's the difference. Without caring whose ox is God. So if you do the wrong thing and you infringe on the law takes its course. I'll give you an example. When we resumed in 2023, and I inherited the file. I read through the file, and I was troubled about some of the reports. People had built on system 44A. 44A discharges from Ogombo through into Ikota River. About 50-something houses. And they had served them notices before COVID. Now, when COVID happened, everybody had to duck for safety and everything. Between COVID and 2023, they had ramped up more developments. So we reserved the notices to them. And we said to them, we want to remove these contraventions. And upon the expiration of those notices, I went there myself. And we removed those contraventions. We didn't just remove those contraventions, KK. We awarded the contract to put in place a tripazoidal collector that would discharge the storm water for about 14 or 15 communities into Ikota. And we solved a problem caused by developers. And whilst I was doing it, KK, I also challenged them, if you have an approval, bring it forward. And none of them did. Same thing applied at Maryland, Mende. Mende, we have the most critical of our systems, Systems 1. Systems 1 starts discharging from Ogba through the whole of Ikeja, Maryland, Mende, through Kushofe into the lagoon. They call it Oduyalaro. Because of the critical nature of this system, it was gazetted in 1974 by the then Millard of Lagos, General Mobolaji Johnson. Years down the road, some developers, some big men chose to encroach on it. And we have to remove. Ojo, where we have fracklers around Lasso, the same thing happened. They built on the system. And it was now flooding the express and the new road that was constructed by state government. And we had to do the right thing. I'm mentioning different areas. Ikorodu, the same thing. But because it was something they were not used to, they had to tag me a name that would make me push or duck for them. They called me a demolition man. I don't demolish houses. I remove contraventions. And somebody must do those tough jobs. I'll give you the example of a state in the US. Two examples, and you see the correlation. Years back, There used to be a very prosperous city in the US, Michigan. That's the home of Ford and automobiles in the whole of the US. Along the line, they lost it on law and order. And that prosperity nosedived. They are still struggling till date to get that bearings. Conversely, there's another state called New York. New York was the den of everything wrong before Rudy Giuliani became a governor. And when he became a governor, before he became he campaigned on the mantra of law and order. And when he won, he made it clear, we have to do the right thing. And within 6 months, New York got its groove back. And they are riding on that platform till date. Lagos is a state governed by laws. Lagos is the most prosperous of the states in this country with due respect. Lagos is the commercial nerve center of this country. People come into Lagos daily. They come to stay. By statistics, over 3,000 or 5,000 come to stay daily. That's not people that come on a daily to come and trade and go back. Just to come and stay. There's nothing wrong with that. But let me give you the statistics that we are contending with. Lagos is housing 22 million plus people. Growing. KK, the size of Lagos is 3,557 square kilometers. It's like a dot in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, imagine this is also a coastal state that is below the sea level. There is a recipe already for that space to be choked. And that is why the Ministry of Environment needs to be up and doing. Air pollution, noise pollution, municipal solid waste will generate 13,000 tons a day. We banned plastic, single-use plastic and styrofoam. People were going, whoa, they can't do that. But we saw the data. And I'm glad United Nations commended us for it, that we showed the political will to do it. And it freed up our drainage system. The issue of flooding had reduced substantially. Part of it was banned on that styrofoam. So,
thank you for that explanation. I needed to get all that from you. Now, we talked about, I didn't want to go there yet, the demolitions and all that, because the truth is, the wrong things have been thriving for so long. Yes, we know that there are laws, because some of the questions I get from people, clients, investors in Nigeria is, weren't the regulatory bodies aware? Now, when the wrong thing thrives for so long, it becomes the norm for so many developers, because it's the norm. And right now, everybody's running helter-skelter trying to get approval. But it wasn't like that before.
Because somebody had said, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Let me give you the analogy. It's like there are 10 armed robbers. And they are on the trail of 10 armed robbers. And you're fortunate to arrest 2 and 8 escape. They're not telling you, leave those 2 now. Because 8 of them escaped. You must make examples of those 2 to send a strong message.
Yeah.
That law and order must prevail.
Okay, so what are we doing now to sensitize the public? Because it's not just people who watch TVs. We've not started seeing campaigns. We're supposed to see, campaigns on TV, on radio, because it needs to stop. Lagos is, I say it all the time, Lagos is more or less like the New York of Nigeria. This is our commercial hub. And people want to come in. When we talk about, I do videos a lot. I talk about Lagos, talk about Nigeria. But when we talk about Nigeria, people think about Lagos, Abuja, but mostly Lagos, because Lagos is a place where you come in and you know that you will make it. If you put in the work, it's we talk about the American dream. We talk about the Nigerian dream, and it's here in Lagos. But then how can we ensure that Lagos is livable? How do we sensitize these people out there who wake up at night to dump refuse at the median, who defecates, on the road?
Thank you so much for promoting Lagos. We can't thank you enough. If people that have platforms like you can put in half of this, we'll be in a better place.
Sure.
I am not against criticism, but I believe in constructive criticism. They are two different things. When you constructively criticize, you're giving solutions that are practicable. We can't stop advocacy. We have to keep ramping up advocacy.
Yeah.
But you and I know that people listen to what they want to listen to. They listen to bad news deliberately. But will that stop us from doing the advocacy? I'll tell you no. But it's not enough to do the advocacy. You must also let them know there are consequences to bad behavior. Before now, we've been prosecuting.
Oh.
Before now, but we don't make a news out of it. But then we said, let us even go the different way. Let us even prosecute and put them there. You name and you shame them. And we are seeing a positive feedback from it. So now it's more of, let us do much more of it. And we as a people need to take responsibility.
Yeah.
These persons doing it, they are not ghosts. They are amongst us.
Of course.
Let neighbors be neighbors' keeper. That's what the Bible says. Be your brother's keeper. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you love your neighbor, you won't throw dirt in front of the drainage that will cause consequences for both of you. If you are your brother's keeper, you want the environment to be sparkling clean.
True.
So it's an ongoing work. It's an ongoing assignment. But we all must take responsibility for it. It's our environment. It's the way you treat your environment that the environment will treat you. It's not rocket science. People tell me, but abroad is... No. Where I stay, abroad, every Wednesday, you have to put your bin out by Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Your bin for your regular bin in the nylon bag, the blue one for your paper, the black for your... it's for your bottles. And they will pick them up at a certain time during the day. But I pay for it.
True.
I don't free ride the system. We don't want to pay here. That's also part of the problem. People don't like paying for services. They want to free ride the system.
True that.
But how will the system grow with that kind of a mindset? How would the system grow with that kind of a mindset? We have 22 million Lagosians. Less than 150,000 are paying taxes. Is that the way it works abroad? For those contextualizing the arguments, put it in this context and imagine it yourself. It's when you pay your taxes, you have a moral right and a legal right to call out the government and say, no. Are we going to fix everything overnight? I'll tell you no. There are shanties even in New York. Go towards Bronx and go towards Queens. You see very bad road even in LA. But the but is a work in progress. We are going to do much more. But let us also rally around the government. We are birds of passage. Somebody else will be there tomorrow. But let us say, during my time, I was able to do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
That's my take.
Thank you very much, sir. And I will say this to everyone there because we have this perspective, a lot of people, what you can't do. And I'm not talking about those in the suburbs now, even the very elite individuals, things they can't do abroad. They come and they do it.
Okay, our elites are the biggest problems we have. They should learn to lead by example. I can say it to any of them. They can't do it. These elites are the ones doing the reclamation that are blocking the drainage system.
But how do they get the approval to do
They don't usually have approvals. Like you said, in the past a year and a half, they're running helter-skelter now. And we will not approve what is not supposed to be approved. Heavens will not fall. And that's why there's a lot of sanity now. Most of them never applies. Most of them believe in gaming the system. And how would development come to a system when the elites are leading by examples? They are the ones that will drive across one way, opposite the traffic line. They are the ones that do it with their escorts.
Right. I was going to say that.
With their, I'm calling them out with their escorts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how to lead by example? No. But you see, the day a woman finds herself naked, she covers up her nakedness with her clothes. That's why we're saying enough is enough.
It's enough.
What I said, if I say it in Yoruba, you understand it better. But this is not a Yoruba platform.
No, you can go ahead, please.
In Yoruba, they say, it's enough. We can't just continue to create problems. And we are the first set of people that will start blaming government. We are the first set that will blame government. In the past 2 years, we've done over 36 kilometers of primary and secondary channels. Done, constructed. I'm not saying secondary, primary. Constructed. Those are the biggest channels you have for water. Within pumping station and the Lubiri to the flood of Lagos Island, because we are constructing the deal of Lagos Island. The Lagos Island is just reconstructed 100%. So to discharge their water, we're giving them a pump station at Ilubiri. People forget that there used to be a pump station in Lagos Island during the colonial era. It used to be around Elegbeta and then somewhere inside Balogun. There used to be one around Ikoyi after the dam barracks. They were abandoned because those areas were low lines. And then you have the Cowrie Lagoon, Cowrie, 5 Cowrie stuff by the side. So, but we just believe things can be done by way of magic. No. We all have to roll up our sleeves and do the right things.
So talking about paying for services now, right? How do we get that money? Because the truth is, if we I know Lagos is a very emotional state, which is good. And that is one of my podcasts, we said it, that look, not every state will come out to address some certain things. And even in countries, not everybody would actually come out. They do what they do. You like it or you don't. It's up they don't owe you any explanation. Now, Lagos is a very emotional state. But then I don't want a situation whereby, we individuals take that soft spot Lagos has for its citizens for granted. Because
we are doing that.
Okay.
We are doing that.
Yeah, how do you, because to those people in the suburbs, they have to pay, right?
Let me put it this way. Lagos had been fortunate to have governors since 1999 that are very strong human feelings.
Yeah.
From Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the current president of the country, who started paying for NECO, for the underprivileged public school students. Since then, NECO and WAEC. He was the first that started it. Put in place Loma structure and stuff to Governor Fashola, to Governor Ambode, to Governor Sanwo-Olu. And you see that they are doing those things is what the states ordinarily should give back to the downtrodden underprivileged. However, it's not enough for us to now start taking it for granted. People know that Lagos pays for WAEC and NECO for its own public school students. We have 1,610 public schools in the States, and we pay the WAEC fees and some other stuff for them. What are they now doing and giving back? People go to their villages, countrywide, bring people, they want to make them house helps. They will not put them in those schools. There's nothing wrong with that. But you take steps to register them under LASRA. LASRA will enable us to have a data of people staying in each neighborhood. They can now plan if they need more schools.
Okay.
If they need more hospitals. If they need even additional road or arteries to link up. That's how development comes. But when you bring people in on a daily basis, and they are not even registered, they are not captured, how would the state plan for them? That is what we are saying. In the past few years, Lekki Corridor had seen so much development.
Yeah.
Unlike the mainland. Now, is it bad if the state asks them, Let us account for you people. There's a lateral office around each and every local government. Just take steps. Make that sacrifice. That's the only way we can make plans for you.
How can you enforce that?
I'm coming. Because it's a civic obligation. It behoves you as a good citizen to, on your own will, go and do it. But we're not doing it. And we now come back the next day to blame government. What are you blaming government for when you drop the ball yourself? How? Government is not a magician. What we've chosen to do differently in the past few years, however, is we go to each division before they set up a budget properly. So we take inputs from every constituent. So that's the way to mitigate the impact, the gap inherent in them failing to register with the state. How will the government know you need a public school or hospital on this Lekki corridor if there's no data to show? But instead, we take anger, go on social media, and we abuse. I was at Abator at Tokunbo on Thursday. I never felt sick on this job before. What I saw made me puke. But somebody must take action and be decisive. What we saw on ground was people that were brazen through the years. And government had been telling them there will be consequences. But rather they will throw emotions, they will throw religious blackmail, and people will back down. I said to them, no. Enough is enough. We must do the right thing at all times, not when it pleases us. And for the first few, people were like shouting, no, the cost of ground will spike. How about the consequence of not taking actions? And there will be cholera outbreak. The hospitals will be filled. We'll not start spending more
money. That's
for
true.
what we could have averted.
Yeah.
And we have to sail the place until they are ready to meet the minimum requirements set up by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Securities and the Ministry of Environment. It's just the minimum we're asking them. So are you saying until we have to wield the big stick, they're not trying to comply? It should not be that way.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to that point. I mean, when you study a place where you've been appointed to, you understand what you get to know their language. Like you said, the black man likes the stick. Sorry to say, but I think we've got to a point where enforcement. I'll take an instance. When they spoke about NIN, it was a big deal until it had to be enforced. Then you see people running everywhere.
They had to
get it
attach
done.
it to things that affects them.
Yes.
Your passport, your bank.
Exactly.
And look at the level of compliance. Is that compliance that we don't want as a people? And you can't cherry pick it. There won't be development without it. It's tough to say, but it's the truth.
True.
Look, people travel. And I give this example. When they get to the abroad they are going to, you see them start behaving.
Yes.
They comport.
Yes, they do.
And I'll be shaking my head that, wow. On their way back, the moment that aircraft lands in this country,
and that's because they feel like, I mean, anything is possible. You could do things. And I've heard it from some non-Nigerians here. You know, they feel like, and they said it with all due respect, that I'm so sorry, confidence, just there's a bit of lawlessness in your country. And honestly, I could not defend that, because if they being non-Nigerians, I'm talking about Lebanese, Germans, talking like this, there's a bit of lawlessness in your country. It makes people want to do the wrong thing.
People don't like the laws all over the world. Human beings don't like the law.
Yeah.
All over the world. However, in those developed climes, they attach consequences to each bad behavior. So you have a choice to make. You behave badly, the consequences come at you without fear or favor. And that's what we are doing now in Lagos.
Yes, so that's what I'm driving at.
We are attaching consequences to bad, not just in the environment alone. Other things they do. You see, the environment is just the face of government.
True.
Because everything you do cuts across the environment. The waste, solid waste, liquid waste, pollution, air, noise, green area, everything. That's why it's about the noise of Tokunbo is hard. Tokunbo is. But ask them a question. If you comply, will Tokunbo come and remove your property? Or will Tokunbo charge you to court? No. But they don't want that compliance.
Yeah.
They don't want the consequences. They're used to bad behavior.
I think we would all comply, because if a country like Dubai just spitting outside, there's a consequence. And
Singapore, you can't eat gum. You can't chew gum in Singapore.
You can't chew gum in Singapore. You arrange, no matter how much you love gum, you just would not chew gum. So
and we comply.
That enforcement, not just in your office, but I think this cuts across every other office.
Yes.
Enforcing these things, because sooner or later, everybody will adjust. It becomes our normal and our culture.
People are adjusting now to what should be the standard.
Yes.
You can give us that. Because when they fail to blackmail us, the regular thing is they'll blackmail you, you run and you go and dock yourself, you start avoiding them. You come at me on social media. I'll give you fact for fact. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to go personal with you. I'm going to give you fact for fact. You come with data, I'll give you data for data. My first life, I'm a lawyer, for God's sake. And I believe when you do what is right and what is lawful, you can go to sleep. But when people attach emotions to it, and you also try to play to that gallery, you've lost the narrative. You've lost the narrative. Lagos is growing daily. People are coming in daily. People are coming with their own culture. But they must meet the culture of excellence. That's why we're the center of excellence.
Yes.
Are we going to get there overnight? I'll tell you no. And you see, this development is cutting across all facets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a rail line coming to Lekki Corridor.
Yeah.
Very soon. There's a blue line running between Marina and Okoko. There's a red line from Ebute Metta to Agbado. That is to decongest the road. It's a deliberate policy, it's a deliberate plan. That once you decongest the road, you minimize traffic on the roads. How did you face out the Molue in Lagos? It's also a methodical way of thinking and planning. So we're not going to get there overnight.
Overnight, yeah.
But we're going to get there gradually, progressively, and purposefully.
Beautiful. And I also think, Lagos is a state rather that carries its people along. I think it's good for us to be a part of this vision so that we the Bible says, write the vision that will make it plain.
Habakkuk.
Yeah. So we could, be a part of this vision. Now let's talk about something else. Green. Most developments, people have termed Lagos our center of excellence. Concrete jungle.
I call it concrete jungle because developers tend to be more concerned about their profit. And we have to be very fair here. It's a thin line balance. And I'll give you an example. I stay in an estate where they sell per square meter about 4 million naira per square meter.
Oh, wow.
Now, if a developer comes to buy 1,000 square meters and he goes to build some units, he wants to maximize the profits because of the cost.
Yeah.
And in elementary economics, land is one of the most important cost of production.
Yes.
And in real estate, it's about location.
True.
That's why you see people leaving London to suburbs.
True.
And they come to London every day to work.
Every day, yeah.
From your maybe Green Heights or Dartford in Kent, you move with your train to Charing Cross. Now, Lagos is also trying to put that in place. So we don't all have to stay on the Lekki corridor.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're staying or you're walking around Lagos Island and you have a very distant accommodation around Agbado, if you time yourself, the red line will pick you. You come to work. You go back with the red line. That is how they do it in developed lives.
Sure.
Or you stay around Okoko side towards Iba, around towards Badagry, or Satellite Town. You know, if you up on the blue line, you get to Marina, do your business, do your work, you go back. That's how to decongest the road in developed lives. Oh, people stay in Jersey City or New Jersey and they work in New York. Daily they come because they can't afford the prices of houses inside New York. Or people stay in DC or people stay in Maryland and they work in DC. They go by train on a daily basis. That's what Lagos is putting in place. It's an infrastructure. But you see, because of the pace of development, we have to have patience with government. But in that course also, we must also keep doing the right thing as a people. I see no reason, KK, why a reasonable person wakes up in the morning, for instance, takes his waste from his house and chooses to drop on the median. Tell me where it's done anywhere in the world. And you think there will be consequences. Or a person wakes up, chooses to go and defecate by the side of the road. Why must we do that? Oh, you are a developer. You want to make money. You can't leave a green that helps the environment, and you choose to build a concrete jungle, most times without approval. Because to even build in Lagos is 40, 60.
Yeah.
Built up space. How many of them are complying?
So that's why we need to have, I'm sure we have LabSCA.
LabSCA is regulating every day. LabSCA have people in all the local government and LCDAs.
So why weren't we seeing these greens?
Now, that is a question you must ask.
Because they have to sign off a building, this is good to go.
They do. Most of them will fly the design and everything. They will leave the space while LabSCA is coming to supervise. And before you know it, when LabSCA leaves and they have signed off the building, they'll put up a new construction for that space. So as a people, how responsible are we to our fellow people, citizens, neighbors? Why are we putting profit over humanity? What is government? We are the government. We, collectively,
yeah,
we are the government. We just vested that authority in a few people. So how are we doing in our own corner? I always make a joke to some of my friends. I built a single dwelling on a 2,000 square meter because I love greens. Then a friend of mine tells me, Tokunbo, never. And he built 8 units on his own 2,000. Do I feel bad? No. We make choices. I have made my choice for my own quality of life. He's made his choice to put profit over quality of life. It's fine. So it by and large, it boils down to each and every one of us.
Yeah, I think it goes in circles. Even the buyers, because I sell real estate too, right? And I bring 2 options. I'm like, this has green, but it's more expensive. But the client who wants to buy, they want to buy the concrete because it's cheaper. So I think it boils down to every one of us. The moment the developer sees that people aren't buying his properties because he doesn't have green, guess what? His next development, he will put a green. So it still boils down to each and every one of us.
Do you think those developers don't know what to do?
They do.
So why are they not doing it?
If one thing goes, do you understand? So I've seen it from my own point of view as someone in real estate. When a developer tries something and it works, the next thing you see everybody. So if he had tried something and probably there was a law, that stopped it from happening, it affects every other person too.
I think beyond the fact that we are our own problem, majorly, I also believe we should do much more than that. Government side too will take some flank. I won't indulge and say we're doing it perfectly. Our approval system, our supervisory system
That was my next question.
must be strengthened.
Yes.
We must not just give approvals without supervisions. I know LabSCA is doing so much. I know Dr. Olumide, that's the Commissioner for Fiscal Planning, is doing so much more. And I know Dr. Jide Babatunde, SA Urban Planning and EGIS, they are all doing so much more. But it can't still be enough. There's a room for improvement. That's the biggest truth. And that's what I tell myself every morning when I wake up. We still have to do much more than we are doing. Leave the noise, leave the commendation. Look at the bigger picture. Lagos is getting bigger. We must keep fixing it and until we get it right 100%.
And yeah, talking about the approval process, I think that's another major constraint to doing the right thing. A lot of developers have spoken to me that, look, we want to do right, but then the timeline, you get a loan from the bank to build, and then getting your approval is taking about 3, 4 to 6 months sometimes to get.
Okay, let me tell you something about this thing. It doesn't make it right. But also,
True.
I know if you have all your documents in place, you can get your approval within a month. Look, most of them, they fly coordinates. It starts with the survey. It starts with the design. And some other things that you and I know. If you know you want to do a building, before you even start the approval process or the loan process with the bank for that mortgage or that facility, why not start putting your own documents together? The tax clearance, for instance, everything that you know you need. If you don't even know, you can ask other developers. You guys are not competitors. You are rivals. There's nothing wrong with that. You can work together. By the way, this thing that you are doing, can I have an idea? That's not a competition. The implementation is where the tax is. And they will help you. If you want to get this thing, do this ahead of time. So you front load. And then, if there are queries, there will be very few or minimal. People apply for drainage clearance, for instance, within a week. Once you apply, please go and inspect. Is it on our alignment? No, it's not on our alignment. Is it on our future alignment? No, it's not there. Is it having a setback of 6 meters from our primary channel or not? Once we sign off. Oh, you want to do a reclamation, you want to do any construction that is above 5 floors. You apply for your EIA. Most of them don't like applying. They believe they will get to it later. By gaming the system. They've been used to it for decades. Now, because we are asking for full compliance, there will not be delays. I feel bad for them. I had an example I usually tell people. Years back, I had cost to alter, not fiscal alter. I had to put an air conditioner unit somewhere on my property outside this country. The process was as though I'm buying a house afresh. Somebody had to sign off.
Yeah.
The council had to sign off. My neighbor had to sign off. This had to sign off.
Yes.
But I waited it out. I waited it out. Anyway, in the UK, to change your design, your glass design for your app, you need to get an approval. Because they'll ask you, is it going to distort the layout of that place, the outlook of that place? But we wait these things out. I understand that timeline thing. But you see, I'd rather do the right thing than expeditiously go and do the wrong thing. So let's get the balance right. Yes, maybe there are delays here and there. But like I say, the biggest room is the room for improvement. So it's a feedback we'll take back as government. I'll tell my colleagues in fiscal planning, urban planning, are there ways we can also ramp up our approval processes?
Yeah.
Because I know they are doing so much more, those two individuals. And I will give them their flowers.
Oh, thank you so much, sir, for that. I mean, that's one area a lot of people have complained about, a lot of developers. Now, there is one concept.
Okay. You'll be told, how many developers are ready to comply with the rules of engagement? you are in that industry. Majority are not ready to comply. And you know it.
You will start complying from now.
Because they have no choice. This sheriff in town will not listen to any cock and bull story. Okay.
There's a particular concern clients, they ask, they share their concern, especially in diaspora. And of course, basically because of the news, you know how the bad news goes viral, right? And there's this saying that Lagos is going to go under in the next 20, 50 years.
I've been hearing that forever.
You've been hearing that forever too, right?
But
what can you say about that?
I understand their concerns. Have you been to Venice before?
No.
Venice, similar to Lagos. Water rise and stuff. Lagos is exposed to climate risk. I've said it. It's a coastal state. That means we are going to have excessive rainfall. We're going to have excessive heat. And there will be sea level rise. When there is excessive rainfall and sea level rise, you have flash flooding. But as a state, what can we do? Advocate that people should take ownership of the infrastructure we'll give them, while we'll use taxpayers' money to provide those infrastructure.
Okay.
Trapezoidal house, pump stations, ensure that LOMA and PSP operators cut away waste, and then let people behave responsibly. If they build and they have greens also save the environment.
True.
But people don't want to do that. So let's reassure them. Lagos will not go under. 100%.
Lagos is not going under.
Lagos is not going to go under.
Now, I want you to say it like categorically. Address the Agungi flooding. We want to know that this would soon be history. Agungi, the Osapa London flooding. We just want to be sure that this will be history.
I was at Agungi this morning before coming here.
Okay.
We've awarded the contract to fix the Agungi Road, the drainage system. It's a secondary collector. It has to be. We want to make a bigger one to now collect the water from the houses. There are so many houses beyond what it used to be. Agungi is a lowland, just like Ikate. So the difference, however, is Osapa is discharging to the Lagos Lagoon. What they are doing is they are blocking that outlet, technically speaking. They are narrowing it down. They will now come back and tell us in the next 10 years that, these new developments with Osapa, with Agungi, it will flood. Where would the stormwater discharge into? I told you there is a collector we did by that road parallel to Ebano to come out and we had to do it to discharge it. But why is Agungi still flooding? Because it's low land. Now we're going to do a drainage system for them, a collector for them. This year we've awarded it. But even at that, as much as we provided the resilient infrastructure, we shall not allow them also block the outlet for the stormwater.
Yeah.
There's a lagoon behind. And those doing it are from this community, for God's sake. So it's a whole lot of things at play. Nature is at play. Climate risk is at climate change is at play. And human element is also at play. But the one we have a control over is the human elements. And that's why we're going to hold back approval. If at all you want to approve for you, let us see your drainage outlay.
Okay.
Because that also comes to the question of, we need housing. And to build the housing, you must have the land. Land is limited in economics as an element of production. If they say they want to go and reclaim within reasonability. But most of them don't do that. Most of them reclaim with greed.
Yeah. That's true.
Have you had Pinnock flood?
No.
Have you had Nikon Town flood?
No.
Why are they not flooding? They are on the same corridor. Because people choose to do the right thing. And they built properly.
Then Aja also, I think there's a lot of reclamation happening around Aja going down to my left.
Baduri.
Yes.
Ado Road.
Yes.
Now, that's where you have your 6C. Now, if you notice from LBS, that road that is coming, there's a bridge we had to do, Lagos government, to discharge. There's a stream, a natural stream.
Okay.
Passing by Com Villa at the back. We also have to discharge that and clean it up for them. It was blocked. Now, they are doing dredging on that corridor. And I think we've had a conversation with appropriate ministry to hold back their license, to hold back their stop or pause the operations. Let us have a review. They've even destroyed the roads on that corridor.
Yeah. Yes.
Done by government. So these things are going on. That's not even reclamation alone. They're also doing dredging. And then you now tell me that nature will not want to force back and take its own pound of flesh someday. It's not going to work.
Talking about water, I remember those days when water used to come into our homes from Water Corporation.
Water will come to your homes before the end of this tenure. And I'll tell you what we're doing also.
Okay.
Lagos have, as at 1895, the first water works was constructed by Lagos State Authority then, 1895. That was at Iju Water Works. Over time, that was meant to discharge water into Lagos Island. Over time, the state had grown beyond that infrastructure. So we now have Adion 1 to complement Iju. Iju is still working, but not at full capacity. Adion 1 is working, not at full capacity. We have a chassis around behind Lasso. Then we have Adion 2. Adion 2 is the biggest one we have in place. Adion 2 will give us 70 million gallons per day. As we speak, Iju, Adion 1, and chassis, they pump out about 20 million gallons per day. There's still water in some areas, but we're not satisfied because we can do better.
Yeah.
So the contractor working on Adion 2 is ramping up because they have to take the clean water from Ogun River before we come and treat it at our, the place we are building at Adion 2. My own take on it is this. As a government, we have seen the need for that. We've always seen it. Did we at a point drop the ball? Yes, we did in the past. But we are back on track.
Okay.
And we're going to fix it.
I think that was what I wanted to hear, that there was a point where the ball was dropped.
No, KK, I don't shy away from criticism. I also learn to take the fault. If I am at fault, I'll say, we have not done this thing well. We've not done it right here. And I am open to that any day, anytime. That's the only way you grow.
Yeah.
The tree grows by sun and by rain, not just by the sun alone. So you'll be beaten by the rain.
Exactly.
The sun will come and shine up on you.
Now, there's just a controversy that peddled for so long. I just want that addressed here. We've brought in some people, but it would be so nice to hear from you because people saw you demolishing homes. You know, the writing for me, and it's good to have you here because most of our viewers are diasporans. We have lots of diasporans, thousands of them who watch our podcast, and we've been able to drive home some points, change some narratives. So you've been here. A lot of people said the whole demolitions was targeted to a certain tribe. And that period, there were lots, we did our best to control that narrative because lots of people were saying one thing and all of that. You're here now. We want to hear from the horse's mouth. I know what could have happened. I'm in the system.
KK, I'm glad you are into development too. And I'll say it as it is. I'm never a bigot. I will never be a bigot, tribally or otherwise. And I'll give you the background of what happened. In 2023, I mentioned one of them, Ikota, Systems 44A. They built on the system. Coincidentally, a serving local government chairman of my party in Lagos State is still a chairman. has about 6 houses.
Hmm.
Duple, we had to remove.
Wow.
6. He's a serving chairman as we speak. He's a Yoruba.
Hmm.
A serving naval officer. Top. Remove this house. He's a Yoruba. When we had to do what we had to do around Maryland to save Systems 1 Oduyalaro, that project, that estate was built by a man called Bishop Drojaye.
Hmm.
But you see, when people cannot bring logic to the table, they want to use blackmail and emotions. We've been removing a lot of contraventions since then. Have you heard them dog whistle anymore about tribe? Have you heard it? No. They wanted to blackmail us to submission. But they failed. They failed woefully. They wanted to tag us as bigots. But what happened? They failed. They failed woefully. Because facts are sacred. I'll bring out the facts. I just gave you the facts. We've removed several contraventions afterwards to restore the right of way for our channels. They failed calling us out as bigots now because that tag didn't stick. People are used to bad behavior.
Sure.
And they are not used to consequences for bad behavior.
True.
So the moment somebody comes and says, I want to put in place this consequence, it's nothing new. But you just choose to enforce. There will be a culture shock. That shock was what they felt in 2023 when I just resumed. They were not used to it.
Yeah.
But today, you have just said to me that virtually all of them are seeking to get all their papers correct. And people are now asking the right questions before they buy.
Yes.
And that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
Okay, that means we're doing something right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you are doing something right. I mean, I'm truly impressed. Not saying this because you're here, but because this is my Lagos. I was born here. So I have I have seen so many things, change, and like the water corporation and all of those things. I've seen some things. I've not lived here how do I put it? I'm not so old, but I have
not
seen
so young.
Wow. I've seen some things change, and I have spoken to lots of people. I've had investors buy properties in Nigeria, non-Nigerians, buy properties and never been to Nigeria, basically because of how I told my story about Nigeria and about Lagos. They've invested here, never been here. We haven't even met. It's just basically from our platform. They call and like, look, I want to have something here. And I believe in the potential of this state, of this country. So that's why we're having this podcast, having this information being passed across to people outside the country who would get the right information.
Thank you.
Because it's easy for anyone to just take up the phone and say something negative, and that would travel far and wide.
Because that is what they want to do. You see, when this whole issue of Lagos is smelling started, I didn't take it serious. But we knew it was riding on the back of the success of Dirty December to demarcate the state. I'm saying it as it is. I'm saying it as it is. But have they succeeded? No. All we have to do is, let's keep doing what is right.
Yeah.
Let us keep doing what we're appointed or elected, on the case of the governor and deputy, to do. And that's what we're doing. So when they said, there's no improvement, no. Nothing has changed. We never employed additional staffs. They've always been out, rain or sun. But, your horse can't be so big in the eyes of your distractors. They won't say anything good. Because that's what they thrive on. But would that stop us from doing what we're doing right? No. But should we do more? Yes, much more than we're doing. And we keep doing it.
A huge kudos to you and to people watching. Please, I want everybody to get ready for the new Nigeria, the new Lagos. The new Lagos that will take no nonsense.
We can't even afford it. Look, people know what is right at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I've not spent 2 years in the environment. And level of compliance had risen drastically, which meant they just chose not to do it in the past.
Yeah.
That get away with it. But some places are doing it well. I've seen developers that will not even go and put a block on ground until all their papers are correct.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it? Because they have integrity. We want more of them. Not majority of the other side, the other type. That all they are concerned about is money.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
So what other exciting project or initiative should we expect?
My ministry is not one that gets involved in those exciting. But I know my sister ministries in tourism are planning so much, and they are reeling them out. Marketing Lagos, making Lagos the center of attraction. And telling people that you can come to Lagos all year round. We have activities lined up. And that is Lagos we want. A Lagos where you can feel safe at any time. And I'm glad you've been here. The safety rating is higher and it's getting better by the day. Which takes us to the reason why we don't want those undesirable elements hanging around our pedestrian bridges, sleeping at people.
But what alternatives are being provided for them?
No, there are homes for them.
Oh, really?
Lagos have homes for destitutes.
Say it louder because it's
Lagos have homes for destitutes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So those people that we even arrest, we profile them. So we separate the wheat from the shaft. But if I arrest you, for instance, around 1 a.m. at Oshodi, and you have a jackknife on you, are you a destitute? People don't see all these things.
Okay.
People don't see them. They know. Look, people sleep on the roads in most developed countries.
Yeah.
But they move them to shelters when the...
So we have shelters here.
There are shelters.
Please, can you... Where?
There is one at Ikorodu under the Ministry of Youth and Social Development.
Oh, okay.
We have those things in place. What we have to do, we have to just profile you and be sure this is a genuine destitute.
Yeah, not a miscreant.
Not a miscreant. That is a creative word. Not a miscreant.
I think Lagos should start singing its song. Because if you don't sing your song, someone else will sing the wrong song.
Okay, that's why I'm here.
Okay, true.
I work for Lagos State. And I'm an appointee of the governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and his deputy. So, and I know a lot of my colleagues are also out. But people want to hear bad news. They know there are homes.
That's brilliant.
And by the way, KK, if you have no business in Lagos, must you come and stay in Lagos and be hanging around under the bridges? That's the next question. You have a home, you have a decent place, but you just choose Lagos is your dream place, your New York, is your London. We appreciate it. But if you have no forwarding address, must you leave that comfort to come and be staying under a bridge? Ask that question in the context of what we are saying.
I mean, this has been so beautiful. Now, I'm going to touch something. This just sprang up.
Anything.
This Dirty December. Dirty December was fantastic this year, but the congestion was insane.
Have you been to Notting Hill Carnival?
No.
You have to try it. It's always in August. Bank holiday in August. I think it's around, I don't know when it comes, but it's always in August. You'll be able to walk. Because it's getting bigger by the day, by the year. I know friends of mine, abros of mine, they don't have a ticket. They've been trying to get tickets since January this year. That they want to be in Lagos for December, go back there. They can't. Airlines are sold out.
Wow.
That is the attraction of Lagos. So on the government side, we need to just find a way to put more infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
Housing, hotel. Eco Hotel is sold out already since last December. For this December.
Wow.
A lot of Airbnbs also must be in place, and then we'll give them infrastructure to regulate. It's so it is.
Wow. This has been a very, very interesting conversation. And I'm sure a lot of people are now more enlightened. I mean, we should have more of your people come around and talk about these things because it's imperative that the right information, is peddled. People want to know. A lot of people out there actually, because we get calls, they want to know what is happening in Lagos. I do my own part, but it also holds more grounds when it comes from people who are directly in the sector.
You see, I will not hold brief for my colleagues, but I know we're doing so much more. But like I said earlier, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
Yeah.
We have to keep ramping up our advocacy, our enlightenment, speaking to people, getting feedback, having very difficult conversations, and not shying away from effective confrontation if need be. We must not shy away from it.
True.
The reason why we are in public service is to serve people. At times it's difficult and it's tough, but you must take very tough decisions.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Educate us all. And I'm sure that a lot of people can see the future in Lagos. This is one of the best places to be. I mean, 30 December told a lot about what everywhere, even non-Nigeria. I was online. We just want to go to Lagos. Lagos, what's happening in Lagos?
I had friends I met in Harvard last year. I was in school. And about 18 of them, they said they have to come to Lagos. And they came.
Oh.
They came to Lagos, they went to Ghana. But they said they are coming more to Lagos, not Ghana. And they loved it in Lagos.
Oh my God.
But Lagos is beyond 30 December.
Yes.
There's a calendarized activity in our tourism and culture.
Oh, okay.
It's a global place. Beyond the commercials. Beyond being the banking and commercial hub. Beyond being the fourth or fifth largest economy. It is Lagos. And this is Lagos. They are always welcome.
You're always welcome. This is our Lagos.
Yes.
To those who want to invest in Lagos too, I mean, with everything coming up, what you've spoken about, you spoke about water. I was going to touch that, but I don't know. The water corporation, I know that really, I don't think the island was part of that because as at when we had...
The island was not Lekki then.
Okay. The island was not Lekki.
It's Lagos Island and then Ikoyi.
Okay.
There's still water in Ikoyi.
Because we don't have that infrastructure here. No pipes, nothing.
No. There is a infrastructure in Lekki 1. They had the waterworks in Lekki 1.
Okay.
It's going to refurbishment now.
Oh, okay.
What happened to it was we had to sign a wash policy, a water and hygiene and sanitation policy. And then the US aid came into our support, Blue Wash. But since this new president came, they're having issues with their contract. But they are refurbishing it. We'll see how it goes.
I'm looking forward to everything.
Water aid is doing one for us at Ogba. They are all over. They're all over.
I'm really excited about this, and I'm sure everyone who has watched this podcast is also excited. Yeah, so my name is Confidence, and please stay tuned to our next episode. This is Key to Keys.